How problematic has that delineation between tier 1 and tier 2 become with all these sort of rushing quarterbacks now, right? Guys who are actually architects of the run game as opposed to just beneficiaries of it. You know, players like Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, like these guys actually are the foundation of the run game as opposed to just benefiting from the fact that the run game is really strong. And so it becomes a lot more difficult to say, well, what if that part fails? Because it involves a team sort of actively taking away part of their strength and part of their skill set.
Yes, I think that component gets these guys only so far in the absence of, some really good passing ability. And I think so far that it feels like it's been that way on the field too, right? We're not seeing a bunch of limited passer quarterbacks who are excellent runners winning Super Bowls, right? They might get there if they have a top 5 defense, or we certainly saw like a Colin Kaepernick get there with a great defense. But there's still a belief that to get over the hump into the top, you've got to be able to win from the pocket more consistently than some of those guys have been able to do. Do you agree with that? Is that how would you have the cutoff there? Because it does get some confusion. We'll have people say, how in the heck is this guy not tier 1? Cam Newton was that way once. The whole offense runs through him. How's he not tier 1? And you end up trying to sort of defend the definition.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a fair argument, but I think it gets tricky so it's easier to say, well, if we take away the run game from, Aaron Rodgers or Justin Herbert or whoever, we know that they can survive just as a pure passer. But I think it's a much more difficult idea to say, well, if we take away the run game of the Eagles or the Ravens, which is sort of built largely off the back of Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, like what can they do solely from the pocket when that thing doesn't exist? Because it's almost impossible to take that away. So it feels like we're sort of robbing those guys of a degree of credit that the other quarterbacks don't get anyway, because you can't build that off them.
You situationally, though, take that away when the game becomes hardest for the quarterback, which is when you have to pass.
Yeah. I mean, the Cam Newton argument, he was just a fascinating QB for years because I think he only had 1 year of actual really good production, his MVP season. I thought every other year, from a production standpoint, from a PFF grade standpoint, he was fine. He was good. He was an above average quarterback. Whether it ran through him or not, there was no real production to look to unless you just looked at like rushing touchdowns, but just overall offensive production, Cam Newton was good, not great. I think the tricky part is Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, they're leading high-end offenses at various points in their career, and how much are they influencing the run game to the discussion we're having right now. So, it's a tricky one. And
I think Jalen Hurts really, there is a case for tier 1 this year. The way these voters often work is, hey, that's great, let's see him do it another year. You don't normally see somebody just rocketing up or down. Even a Russell Wilson had this horrible year. He fell into tier 3. He was probably a tier 4 guy last year. So there's a little bit of they don't overreact, but I think Hurts will get into tier 1 if he has a similar season this year. I think people feel like he does pass it well enough now. He's getting there.